Okay, this is lesson 35, Pascal's triangle, day 2. Same thing as yesterday on the last lesson, except it's just going to be harder, okay? But this is, we're using the patterns of Pascal's triangle to solve long binomial multiplication problems quickly, okay? And as long as you stay organized, working in chunks, you'll be fine, okay? So, the steps are here, just like yesterday. Here are numbers 1 and 2. So on numbers 1 and 2, you're going to notice that there's an or a coefficient in the front here, or another, like on number 2, you're going to notice there's an exponent on the inside, which is like going to be a little bit more difficult. But same steps as yesterday, okay? You're still figuring out your first and second term and your exponent, okay? That's your first step. So the first term is 2y. Second term is -1. Exponent here is 3. So I'm going to go to the third level of Pascal's. Third level says 1, 3, 3, 1. Those are my coefficients. I write those down. So I got 3, 3, 1. Okay? And then we got to put in our first term. So 2y. We got 2y, and since it's to the third power, we're just start writing that out. 2y to the second, 2y to the first, and 2y to the 0 power. And then we go backwards. We got -1, so it's -1 to the third, -1 squared, -1 to the, oh wait, I made a mistake here. Oh yeah, to the first, and then -1, thank you, to the 0 power. Alright, now we've organized each term, so now we can work in chunks here. So, first one, -1 to the 0 power is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and then we got 2 to the third power is going to be 8, because 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. All of the 8 times 1 is 8, and then y to the raised to the third is just y to the third. That's the first term. Okay, that was the easier one. Second term, yeah, -1 to the 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 to the second power is, or 2 to the third power is 8. Times 1 is 8. Yep, that's okay. So that's the harder part, so you got to be careful. Then we got -1 to the first power is -1. -1 times 3 is -3. And then we got 2 squared is 4. So -3 times 4 is -12. And then y squared is just y squared. Okay, you got that? Next one, -1 squared is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 to the first is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. It's positive 6. Y to the first is just y. And then last one, -1 to the third is -1. Times 1 is -1. 2y to the 0 is 1, so -1 times 1 is still -1. That's it. This is your expanded multiplication problem for number 1. Questions on number 1? Okay, you see how it's the same thing, so as long as you stay controlled and organized and you work in little chunks, then you'll be okay. Alright? Number 2. This one's going to be more difficult. So we got 4y to the fourth minus 1. First term is 4y to the fourth. Second term is -1. Exponent is 4. So I'm going to the fourth level here, which is going to be 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Okay, and then I will write down my terms now. So we got 4y to the fourth, all of that raised to the fourth power, and we're just going down the list. 4y to the fourth. Okay, and then we got -1. What?
You missed the form inside.
Oh, thank you. Okay, then we got negative 1. Working backwards, we got negative 1 to the 4th, negative 1 to the 3rd, negative 1 to the 2nd, negative 1 to the 1st, and negative 1 to the 0 power. Okay. Alright, you follow me so far? Okay, this is getting a little bit more difficult, so watch carefully. So negative 1 to the 0 power is 1. 1 times 1 is 1, right? Then we got 4 to the 4th. It's like saying 4 times 4, 16 times 4 again is 64 times 4 is 256, okay? 256 times that 1 that we talked about is 256. And then y to the 4th, raised to the 4th, is y to the 16th power. Okay? Got that? That's just the first term. Second term, negative 1 raised to the first power is negative 1. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Then we got 4 to the 3rd is going to be 4 times 4, 16 times 4 again is 64. Okay? But we had a negative 4 at the beginning, so 4 times negative 64 is negative 256. And then we got y to the 4th raised to the 3rd is y to the 12th power. Follow me so far? Okay. Then we got negative 1 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 4 squared is going to be 16. 16 times 6 is 96. Y to the 4th raised to the 2nd is y to the 8th power. Continuing on. Negative 1 to the 3rd is negative 1. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. 4 to the 1st is 4. Negative 4 times 4 is going to be negative 16. Y to the 4th power. Last one. Negative 1 to the 4th power is positive 1. Positive 1 times 1 is 1. 4y to the 4th raised to the 0 power is still 1. So 1 times 1 is still positive 1. That's your answer. Oh. So these get longer and more difficult. But still, the point of this whole thing is we use the patterns of Pascal's triangle to save a lot of time. Because if I were to multiply this out 4 times, that's a lot of work. That would waste my whole paper, I think. Okay. Whereas I'm working in chunks, and you could see the terms. Okay. So why don't you take a moment to write this down in your notes, both of them. And so here we go. Oh wait, that's not what I wanted to give you. Here we go. Number 3. So let's do number 3 together. And then have a new number 4. So number 3, here we go. So we got 3v minus 1, all raised to the 4th power. So, what's our first term, everyone? 3v. You doing this? Ely?
Yes.
Thank you. What's our second term?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. What's our exponent? Okay, so 3v minus 1, all raised to the 4th power. We go to the 4th row of our Pascal's triangle. So we got 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Okay, these are our coefficients. And we put 3v in. Okay, so we got 3v raised to the 4th. I'm just going to set up this problem, and then we'll see how you do. 3v to the 3rd. 3v squared. And you could do your work on your paper and then show me your final answer on your iPads. And then 3v to the 0 power. Then we go backwards. We got negative 1 to the 4th, negative 1 to the 3rd, negative 1 squared, negative 1 to the 1st, negative 1 to the 0 power. Okay? Finish it up. I think you could finish the rest of this. So I'll give you about a minute to 2. Okay, first answer is 81v to the 4th power. Second one is what? Negative 108 v cubed. Next one. Next one. Plus 54v squared. Yep. Next one. Negative what?
12.
Last one? Plus 1. Okay, good. Okay, so well, we could do these all day with these long ones. I'm going to show you one more example. Okay? One more example. Sometimes it's going to ask you for a specific term. Meaning it'll, instead of you having to do something like the whole thing we just did up here, it's going to ask like, oh, what's the third term, okay? Which means you only have to worry about the third term. So when you get a problem like that, it's going to look like this, okay? The directions will say this. Find each term described. Okay, so look at number 5. So this is actually easier than what we've been doing because it's asking for a specific term. You just have to know the strategy to get the right answer, because if you get the wrong term, it's the wrong answer. Okay, so first we got to read the question. It says, find the third term in the expansion of a plus 4 to the fourth. Okay, so it's asking for the third term of the expansion of 8 plus 4 to the fourth. So we go to the fourth level and we want to get to 1, 4, 6, 4, okay? So we go to the third term. So 1, 4, and 6, okay? It's asking for the third one, so this is where I have to focus, is 1, 4, 6. Does that make sense? Okay? So I don't really care about these other ones, 1 and 4. I'll keep them there just to give me a place marker for now, but I'm really just worried about the third term, okay? So then we just set up our problem like we normally would. You're thinking, okay, if this is a to the fourth, a to the third, a squared, right? And then over here we're going to go, it's going to be 4 to the 0, 4 to the first, and 4 squared, right? So if that's the case, I only need to really worry about this third term. So all this other stuff I'm just going to erase or not even keep there. Now, you could use those other terms as place markers, or you could just do it in your head. Okay, I don't care. But this is all we have to do is this problem, right? And this is like an Algebra 1 problem, okay? 4 squared is? 16 times 6? 96. 96 times a squared is 96a squared. That's it. That's your answer. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's super easy. But you have to be able to... The hard part here is understanding where to get to, okay? So you have to be able to decipher, okay, I need to have the third term in this specific sequence in Pascals, okay? Let's have you do number 6. Second term in the expansion of this hard one, okay? I think something... So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. This one we're going... Oh man, our internet's slow. Let's see if it works. It might be stuck here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end the lesson here for the iPad.